Collecting statistics can be something we see as just a tour player role.
I'm obviously a data weirdo.
But actually, all golfers can be benefiting from collecting statistics on their game. Today, I'm going to be doing a full review of the ShotScope V5 watch and showing you how it can help in terms of GPS and giving you better access to data out on the golf course, but also how it can collect your stats and give you really valuable feedback on how to improve your game. Okay, first things first. How do we set the watch up? So it's pretty simple. When it comes in the packet, all you literally do is need to charge it up, and on that front it's ready to go in terms of GPS functioning. But if we do want to do kind of the shot tracking and collect the full statistic, there's a few extra things we need to do. So we want to pair it up to the ShotScope app on our phone, and then we need to sort the tags out and input your clubs. So as well as the watch, you get these little tags to go in the end of your golf club. Now we have these for like all your irons, putter, wedge, drivers. There's also kind of miscellaneous ones if you have alternative clubs that you want to add in, so maybe hybrids, extra woods. And the process here is pretty simple. All you do is twist this into the end of the grip and then go into the app, and it asks you to set your golf bag up. So you simply select which clubs you're using. Do you have like irons from pitching wedge to 5-iron maybe? Do you have a 5-wood or a hybrid? Just letting it know what your bag setup is, which tags you've got on each club. So then when you go onto the course and hit your shots, it can use that tag and that data to know which club you're hitting in each shot. Okay, so first things first, we need to set our watch up so we're ready to tee off. And all you need to do for this is go to the top right button, the select button, click it, it'll come up with a play golf option. Yes, we want to play golf. Locate the golf course where we're at, pick what tee box we're playing off, and then get ready and go. On this, if you want to select scoring, keep a scorecard, click yes. You can choose between doing GPS or GPS and track. And if you want to collect stats, you want to do that GPS and track option, because that's one that's going to collect all your data. If you are just going out for a knock and you just want some numbers, you can just put it on the GPS mode and then it won't pick stats up. So it's quite nice to have those two different options depending on what you're doing. If you're playing a comp or if you're just going out for a few holes, a bit of practice. Now after this, we're ready to go. We've already got the tags in our clubs. We've got that all set up. Basically, the watch is going to do pretty much all the work for you here. So all you need to do is keep it on the left wrist, hit your shots with the tags in. It's going to pick all your shots up. So I first got a ShotScope watch back in 2019. At that point, I had never worn a watch to play golf. I was quite unsure about it, and I just wasn't sure if I was going to like it, how it was going to feel, if it was going to be comfortable while I was hitting and swinging, especially since it has to be on that left wrist so it can pick up your impact. And actually, I found once I'd worn it for a hole or two, you literally just don't even notice it. Now at this point, the watch is significantly smaller, much sleeker. They fit on your wrist much easier, and you really just don't notice it at all. The wrist strap is really comfortable, very adjustable, so you can get it to fit how you want and never get any irritation or rubbing for it. So I think that's a big point to make if you're someone who's maybe new to the watch situation, not sure if you're going to like it or not. Honestly, just give it a go, because I was really skeptical at first and I just don't notice it at all. Fairway and reg. That will be good for my data. We're at 141 to the middle of the green. Pin's a bit nearer the front, 126. Just hit a little 9-iron. Now the fantastic part about the majority of this is you don't have to do anything other than pick your club up out of your bag and hit your shot, and ShotScope's going to do all the work. Because basically what it's doing is tagging where you've hit your shot from on like a Google map of the golf course and just plotting that as you go around and then pulling all that data together at the end. So it really is kind of a process that you don't really have to do much out of the ordinary. It definitely doesn't slow down play, which I think is a big thing people are concerned about. All you're doing is pulling the club out, hitting your shot, and letting ShotScope do the rest of the work. Now, the putting green is the only time you actually have to do any active work towards this process, and that's just because you need to tell the watch where the pin is. So at the end of the hole, it comes up with a little screen on the watch which shows different numbers based on how many putts you've had. There's a 1, 2 and a 3. If you have had a 4, there is a side arrow to change that and go up, but hopefully that doesn't happen too often. And basically you just press the button next to how many putts you've had while you're getting your ball out of the hole or next to the pin. And what that does is just tell ShotScope where the pin is. It can then backdate all your other shots relative to that and know how far you've hit each shot. So that's literally the only thing you need to do on each hole. Simply press a button and ShotScope's going to generate all the rest of the data for you. Now, one thing I would say on this when I've collected data for years with this is the whole process is incredibly accurate. The only place I've ever had a few little issues is on the putting green, and there is a reason for that. it collects data by knowing where kind of your left wrist is relative to the tag, and it picks the shots up like that. Now, I walk around the putting green a lot with the putter in my left hand, so sometimes I can confuse shot scope over where I'm hitting my putt from. Now, I've talked to shot scope about this. They say you just need to carry it in your right hand, but I'm a bit stubborn, I just can't get out of my routine. So to get around that, generally when I'm playing competitions, I will simply just pace out the length of my putt from wherever it is, write it down on the side of my scorecard, and then at the end I'll go into the app and just double check it's got it in the right place. A lot of the times it has, sometimes it hasn't, but that's the only thing I've ever had to tweak using the process. It takes maximum 5 minutes at the end of the round to just click through, and that's if you're moving every single putt. Most of the time you don't have to do that, but is that just something to note? If you really want your putting data to be accurate, just carry your putter around in your right hand when you're not putting, and then only put it into your left when you're actually hitting your stroke. Obviously, the impact of a putt is a lot smaller than that of a full shot, so it has to be a little bit more accurate in terms of picking up when you're using that putter near your watch on the green. Before I tell you about everything else this watch can do, just a quick reminder that if you're not a subscriber, please could you hit that subscribe button. It makes a massive difference to the channel in terms of the content we can produce. And while you're there, you might as well hit that like button too. Right, back to the video. Okay, so I've talked you through how to use this watch for shot tracking, but obviously that's not the only thing this does. And I think a real big plus point for lots of people is the fact this is a GPS and it does your stats. So a lot of this you can use, especially on new courses for course management, seeing where hazards are, getting front, middle, back distances for the green, and there's loads of different options here. I really like this year's upgrade because we have hole maps, so you can see a full shape of the hole. You can move up and down it with the buttons and see how far it is to different hazards. You can also get the setting where you literally just get distances to hazards, so if you just see one specific bunker and you want to know how far that is, for example the one here on the right, I can easily see it's 253 to the front of it, 259 to the back, so in this winter day I'm probably not in danger of going into it. I'm just not going to get there, guys. Now, personally for me, I like the fact this locks in between shots, so you can't accidentally press a button and it move around, you end up on a different hole. But also I like the fact you've got 4 buttons and it's quite easy to navigate around. So this right-hand side is basically you selecting what you want to do or going back to the previous thing, and the left side is moving up and down. So be that through the hazards, through the different distances on the hole, or even you can get a map of the green and move the pin around, which I think is going to be helpful when we get down this fairway because we're not going to be able to see the green. So personally in the past, I've always been a laser user, which is great for very specific distances to a pin. But in a scenario here where we've got a lot of bunkers down there, it's a bit downhill, it's not exactly clear where they are, it's really great to have something like this because it just lays out where the hazards are, where the fairway is, what distances you need to hit it to get over different hazards, and helps you pick what the most optimal club is going to be to get in play and allow you to get the next shot on the green. So this is a good example of a hole where this watch comes into its element because it's downhill to the green and I can't really get enough room on the pin to get out my laser. I can see just from the top of the flag it's a red flag. So what that means is I can go into my settings, go to the green view and just swap where the pin position is and get a more accurate distance to the pin rather than just kind of front, middle or back. Obviously I've still got those really clear front, middle and back distances, so I can use them, but if I want to dial it in and be a little bit more precise and laser like, I can do that in this scenario. It also means if you're in a scenario where you just can't see the green at all, you've got those really clear front, middle, back distances. Sometimes you might get given a pin position sheet or a sheet which says it's which quarter of the green it's in, and again you can then use that setting to get the pin kind of near where you think it is and get a more accurate distance. Now here I can see the front distance for the green. I can also see it's a little bit downhill before that. If I play for that number, hope the hill gives me a little bounce down to the pin and the ball ends up somewhere close. Tad right, but it looks quite good for distance. Now, I think what people don't realise is a lot of playing good golf is about making good decisions, picking the right club, and actually a device like this is really going to help you out with that. We really need to be thinking more about where the hazards are, which things are going to be most penal for us to go into, what clubs can we be hitting to avoid that. In situations like this where you can't necessarily see the green, just making sure you've got the good distances to get the right club selection and give yourself a good opportunity to make birdie or par. So how do I use my ShotScope stats to improve my game, inform my practice, things like that? There's a few key areas and ways you can use this. A big one is it divides your game up into different sections. So you can see driving, approach play, short game, putting. I think that's really useful because you can straight away get a really clear snapshot of maybe which section has not been the best in either your last round, your last few rounds. You can even filter it by golf course. So if you have one home course you play at a lot, maybe you're preparing for a club championship coming up, you can see specifically which areas you tend to be worse at on that golf course and then dial in your practice for that. So recently I played in a few of the Rose Series Pro events, and after my first round, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't play probably my best golf. And when I looked through the stats, it was really stark that it was my driving that was actually causing my bad scores. So I spent a lot of time in the day after and the day off practicing my driving, and I managed to drop my score by 6 shots and improve my strokes gain driving by 3 shots. So I had a huge difference in just one day of practice and just focusing on a specific thing that was kind of affecting my game. Another thing I think that's massive for club golfers is the fact that it produces club distances for how far you hit every club in your bag. Now obviously these are total distance, so they do include the run because it records from where you hit to where the ball finishes up. But I still think this is really useful information to kind of inform you to make better club decisions out on the golf course. Now we know the majority of amateur golfers are missing vast amount of greens short. They're just not getting enough club on the ball up to the green. Some of this comes into missed strikes, but really when we're picking what club we should be using into greens, we should be accounting for the fact that we're not going to hit each club perfect. Now there's a few different ways ShotScope does this. It has just your average of all your shots with that club. It also has something called a P average, which is a performance average, and that takes out kind of any weird shots. So if I hit a shank with a 7-iron, or I was chipping out the trees with a 7-iron, so it's not showing kind of the reflective distance of how far I would hit that club, it will pull that data out and give you a performance average, which is more accurate and just includes kind of your best like percentile of shots with that club. Also one for your ego, it does tell you your longest shot with each club, which sometimes it's just quite nice to look at and cheer yourself up. Again, when we're looking at approach play, we can see where we miss most often. So you can definitely see here if you are one of those people that falls into the category of missing short a lot, and if you should just simply be hitting more club into the green, and that would help you lower your scores. In terms of short game, a really good thing to look at is how close you're getting different clubs when you're chipping. So do you chip it closest when you're using your lob wedge? Do you chip it closest when you're using your putter? Maybe your 8-iron? I think the answer is going to be putter, because it is for most people, but it really shows you starkly which club you chip the best with and helps you pick some strategy around the green. Again, with things like putting, you can see how many putts you're missing short or long, how often you're 3-putting, just some really simple variables that are going to help you play better, and sometimes without even practice, because loads of these stats can just inform your course management and make you think about golf better, pick different shots, pick better clubs, and actually that means your scores will be lower without actually doing any practice. Now I know there are some of you who do love to beat balls, and this means it can just really inform what you should be doing with them. I think for the majority of people that should be working on distance control, working on having kind of fairways on the driving range, and can you hit the ball in between that. And these things are just going to make your game more transferable out on the golf course. Now, a huge part of this software is the fact that you can compare your game to all different handicaps. Some softwares just allow you to look compared to a pro golfer, which isn't necessarily that helpful if you're a higher handicap. With ShotScope, you can compare to handicap in 5 handicap increments. So if you're a 10 handicap golfer, you can compare to other 10 handicap golfers. If you're 15, 20, 25, you can do the same. And what's quite nice about this is you can see where you're kind of gaining or losing shots. So if you're really good off the tee compared to a 10 handicap, you can see that, but you can also see where you should be making gains, where you should be practicing more. So it's really nice to be able to think, oh, well, I'm off 10, I'd really love to be off 5 next year. How do I need to get better? But also kind of compare yourself to your peer group and see how you're getting on. If you're someone who doesn't like to stop, get a laser out, feels like it slows down play, this is really great because it's such a quick, simple glance to see middle of the green distance and get on with it. And actually, most of you should be using middle or back distances to the green because it would allow you to get the ball on the green more often. So once you've finished your round, this is when you can upload the data, from your watch into your phone, and you're going to get all those great stats from your round. Now, you can either do this straight away when you come off, or you can do it when you get home or whenever you next have time to do it. There's no kind of time constraint on this. What you need to do is going to get your phone back out. On the watch, you're just going to end your round, and then back in the ShotScope app, we're going to have an option to sync our data and pull it into the app. So this is pretty quick. It takes like a minute or two for all the data to pull across, depending on how many rounds you have saved in there. And then you're just going to go in, click on the round that you've just played in, and sign it off. So this allows you to edit basically anything on the round. The majority of the time, there's not really anything you need to change. As I mentioned a bit earlier, sometimes you might want to move the putts around a little bit, depending on how accurate it's been. I like to pace my putts out and then just make sure they're the correct distance, that they were away from the pin, because that's just going to make my data as accurate as possible. But in terms of full shots, I've never really had to change anything because it's very accurate and tagging where you hit the shot from on that map of the golf course. So you get a full map of each hole. You can go through and edit these. The only times I've ever had to change full shots is, for example, sometimes if I've done like a practice swing with a 5-iron and then decided I want to hit 6, it might have thought I'd hit 2 shots, but you can really easily just click and delete that. And you can also go in and add any penalty shots that you might have had that the app doesn't know about. Once you've done this and you're happy with it, you can just go to the end and sign off. Sometimes I have to create a personal scorecard because the ones it manually pulls through, say for the yellow tees, are generally like the yellow tees with the men's scorecards. Sometimes you have to just tweak the pars to get it to how you've placed the course that day so that your score to par is correct for what you've shot. All in all, I'd say this is maximum like a 5-minute process. Then it's signed off and you've got all the data to go look at, really dive into and just see how you're getting on, where you can improve and what you're going to do better next time. Okay, so I hope that's given you a really clear rundown of what this watch can do, what the stats capacity is, and why you should be tracking stats, because I just think it's super important for all level of golfers. Now, if there's anything that I haven't covered here or you want a little bit more information on, feel free to drop it in the comments below and I will get back to you. But I just have to say, as an overall point, like I've used a lot of different data, technology and products through my years testing, and ShotScope really is one of my favourites just because it makes something which is quite complicated in terms of tracking your statistics so easy and simple to do for everyone on the market. I really do believe that if I didn't collect stats and things like that, I wouldn't be as good as a golfer as I am, and ShotScope have made that such an easier process. I've used manual softwares before where it can take 30 to 40 minutes to put that data in, so the fact I can do something in sub 5 minutes, have it done accurate, the same every time, and just know that I can always go back and see how I can improve my game is really crucial. Now, I've used the ShotScope watches through the years, and these are so much smaller and sleeker than the original ones, and they've just run a really fantastic job of improving that. There are other options out on the market, so if you maybe didn't want the stats, you can just get a GPS watch. Personally, I think you would be missing out on the best part of ShotScope there. You can also get a touchscreen option if that's something you prefer, but for me, I do really like the fact this is all just buttons and there's nothing on the screen, because I feel like when you're playing golf a lot and you're hitting, I just don't necessarily like something that's touchscreen because I feel like I can knock it a lot. And I just think the interface of this is really simple and easy to use for a lot of golfers. It's just going to make the whole process easy and simple to use. The upgrades this year in terms of having that extra course map on the watches, which we've not seen before from ShotScope, so you can get a full image of the hole, really see where you're going, is excellent. And I just think all options are kind of ticked here. We can get that distance to the pin if we really want it. We've got front, middle and back distances, which I think for most people is actually the most important thing, because we really should be aiming for like the center of that green most of the times. And also the fact we can just get to every hazard, really see everything clearly on those maps. There's so much covered here. There's so much data you can get out of the back of this on the app. And I especially love the new stuff in terms of seeing specific stuff on the golf courses, seeing your shots plotted out on maps. And just there's so many tools which can help you with your course management and help you improve your game without even having to practice. I think that's crucial for a lot of golfers because they want to be better, but they don't necessarily have loads of time to go and beat loads of balls. So if you want to get your golf better this season or in the coming seasons, one of the ShotScope watches is definitely something I'd recommend. I love my V5. You've got to pick one that's right for you. I can't see how you can't get better if you start using one of these.